Okay, we're going to go to Ireland now we are. And we're going to go into a thatched cottage area. This is a thatched cottage that I'm wearing. That means that the roof has special sticks that come down. It's all thatched. It looks very different, and it's all over Ireland. This is a story about Ninny Nanny and her grandma. I want you to listen and see if you get the story. There was this old thatched hut nestled in a glen near the river. Ninny Nanny and Gram lived there together. Each had only the other and no more. They lived simply on potato soup, and their needs were very few. The thatch needed patching, the potatoes needed digging, the firewood needed gathering, and the water barrel needed filling. That was all. But Ninny Nanny was lazy, and Gram was ailing and sick, and there was naught but blathering between them. Gram nagged, Ninny Nanny dawdled, and that was that. The rain came drip-drop through the thatch, the potato sack emptied, the chimney pot grew cold, and there was but a bit of rainwater in the barrel. It came to be there was little to eat, just cold rainwater soup, pure and simple. "Oh, woe is me, the starving we are," moaned Gram. "What am I to do with such a lazy child?" "Ah, Gram, hush your nagging. I've been thinking to catch a leprechaun. He's bound to tell where he's hidden his pot of gold, and 'tis rich for life will be," boasted Ninny Nanny. "Is it raving you are, girl? To capture a leprechaun is no easy thing." "Aye, so I've heard tell," agreed Ninny Nanny. "But we could make right use of a treasure, so I'll give it a try." Well, it was as easy as tripping over a log, which is what happened. Ninny Nanny was tramping about, looking every which way for a leprechaun, when she tumbled, head over petticoat, fell clunk, right on top of one of the wee fairymen. Can you see that, Eva? Okay, keep that picture in your head now. The wee ferryman, he's a cute little man, he is. He was doing nobody harm. He was just under the log. He howled like a banshee and wiggled and waggled, but Ninny Nanny had him firmly by the seat of his breeches, and that was that. "Let me go!" shrieked the angry leprechaun. "Sure and gladly I'll let you loose, but I'll know first where your hidden treasure is," said Ninny Nanny. "Ugh, 'tis under the wood pile, the straw pile, but you've not the wit to find it," grumbled the wee man. "We'll see about that," said Ninny Nanny, as she carried him squirming and kicking to show Gram her prize. And wasn't Gram pleased? They tied him firmly in a potato sack. Poor leprechaun. And Gram watched that he didn't wiggle away, while Ninny Nanny started pitching straw this way and that way. "Sure, and 'tis witless and lazy she is," hissed the leprechaun to Gram. "She'll find no treasure in the mess she's making." "I heard that, and you'll not fool me, leprechaun," said Ninny Nanny, and she lifted the straw gently, searching through it bit by bit, and then carried it up to the roof. Out of the way. What was she doing with the straw, my boys? She was patching up the thatch, you said, the holes. Sure, the whole of the straw pile was upon the roof, and not a mite of gold to be found, and that was that. "'Tis a liar you are, leprechaun," said Ninny Nanny. "I'm not a liar. Hidden under the straw it was, but I just now recall that the mice were nosing about, so I moved it under the big oak tree and covered it with branches," said the leprechaun. "Stack the branches here by the door, Ninny Nanny," said Gram. "I'll sort through them for any stray coins." Ninny Nanny carried and stacked the branches. Gram examined every stick. The leprechaun scowled. Ninny Nanny raked up the last few twigs and found no speck of treasure under the tree, and that was that. But what did they have in the thatched roof? Thatched house, then. Firewood. Firewood. "Gee, it's a lying again, Gram," said howled Ninny Nanny. "I'm not a liar. Hidden under the tree it was, but I remember now that I moved it to a safer place," mumbled the leprechaun. "Speak up and tell me where you've hidden the gold," demanded Ninny Nanny, shaking him 'tis his wee head was wobbling. "The river," squawked the leprechaun. "I put it under the river." "Sure, and I'm not believing that. How did you get it under the river, and how am I to get it out?" asked Ninny Nanny. "I've told you where, but I shan't tell you how," grumbled the leprechaun. Ninny Nanny got the bucket and started bailing out the river. She was tossing water onto the riverbank at a furious rate. "'Tis witless you are, girl," laughed the leprechaun. "Can't you see all that water sliding back where it came from?" And he was right, of course. So Nitty Nanny emptied her bucket into the water barrel in the house till the barrel was full to overflowing, but the river was as deep as before, and that was that. Sure, 'tis a liar you are, Leprechaun, wailed Nitty Nanny, and 'tis throwing you into the river I will do. Don't be hasty, girl, begged the Leprechaun. A liar I'm not, just forgetful at times. I remember clearly now. I buried my treasure in your very own potato patch. I'm not believing you, Leprechaun. 'Tis another lie you're telling, said Nitty Nanny. Then 'tis foolish you are, girl, said the wee man, for leprechauns never lie. Aye, I've heard tell they're bound by fairy law to tell the truth, said Gram. Oh, I'll believe that when I see it, grumbled Nitty Nanny as she went to fetch the spade, the shovel. I love that picture of the little leprechaun. Look at him. He's in a potato sack. Poor little guy. Didn't do anybody any harm. Nitty Nanny dug and grubbed about in the potato patch. Gram smiled to see all the potatoes scattered about. The leprechaun scowled. Nitty Nanny dug the potato patch wide and deep, uprooting all but one of the potato plants. Sure, and all she had to show for her efforts was a hole in the garden and a heap of potatoes. And that was that. She threw down the spade in disgust. I've had enough of digging, and I've had enough of lying leprechauns, bawled Nitty Nanny. Let him loose, Gram, for we'll be needing the sack for potatoes. So Gram untied the sack, and whisk, like a shooting star in the night, the wee man vanished. Nitty Nanny and Gram sucked on good, hot, hearty potato soup, and then fell soundly asleep in their warm, dry hut. But out in the potato patch, the wee leprechaun was busily digging up the last potato plant. He carefully lifted out his pot of gold, muttering, what did he mutter, boys? Leprechauns never lie, as he trotted off to find a safer hiding place. And that was that. Leprechauns never lie. They're